Heart First leadership isn't what you say, it's how you show up, how you regulate, how you communicate, and how you execute when it matters most. We are Heidi and Ryan Sawyer, and you are listening to the Heart First Leadership Podcast.
Welcome back to the show, and we are excited to restart. It's not a start, it's a restart. A little series, a few episodes here where we're going to be bringing in people that are impact-oriented individuals. And the reality is this, as the very first person that came to my mind was this incredibly handsome young man sitting across the screen from us by the name of Casey Jacox. And we go back. Welcome.
I'm honored to be here. This is so fun. This is so fun.
We go back quite a ways. 19, we were just telling a funny story that we may or may not tell here, but
I think we should.
1996, our very first interaction was standing in the parking lot of Tomlinson Stadium. Yeah. And it was recruit weekend where I was a recruit, and I was so eager and excited and nervous and all these things. And somebody pulled up. I was with you. I think I was with you. And somebody pulled up. It was Chad Rathburn, or it was Matt Smith, or it was one of those guys, right? And they go, "Oh no, I have a recruit this weekend." And you're like, "Yeah, he's right here." So I was hosted by you and those guys all kind of together.
That makes sense. I mean, playing quarterback, you want to be around someone who's tougher than you, tougher than most defensive players, more grittier, feistier, line of scrimmage. That makes sense.
And you want to be with the defensive end. It makes complete sense. Later in the night, I think I tackled you. All the kinds of things.
That explains why my back hurts. I know why.
So Casey is obviously a former teammate of mine. We both played at Central Washington University, and we have stayed in touch all these years. I want to give one more preface before we dive into what we're going to talk about when it comes to being impact-oriented humans and individuals and people that are really on missions to make an impact in the world that we see that is in need. Is about a decade ago, well, my son's 10. Yeah. So, wow. Yeah. 11 years ago, when I found out that Heidi was pregnant and I was going to be a father, was a massive turning point in my life, right? It was like, I instantly started looking in the mirror, right? And I instantly started making changes. And I continuously have stayed on that path for the last decade of making changes and trying to improve myself, right? To improve the world that I live in for those kids that I now raise. And when I looked around to figure out who is it that I want to be like, right? Who's somebody out there in the world that I know that's being a father that I can see like, wow, they are clearly intentional. They're there. They're present. Like, I want to be like that. I want to be like Casey Jacox. You're the person who I legitimately was like, and do you remember? I called you.
We had breakfast.
I drove over, and not maybe a special trip just for that, but I drove. I think we're in North Bend somewhere or something like that.
No, it was Maple Valley. I was like, I bet he's going to bring this up because I remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
You had breakfast. I remember being so humbled by your thoughts, and you were doing some other work at that time. But I remember thinking I felt like inspired after that conversation from because I think your gift, one of your many gifts, is just being vulnerable and sharing stories, because people can relate to the ups and downs, which we're all flawed humans. I've yet to meet the perfect one.
Right. Exactly.
There's so many that think they're perfect, but they're not.
Yeah.
Hiding behind many things. And I think I loved that breakfast. That was awesome.
Yeah, I was doing the isogenics thing at the time, and I had just left coaching, and I was just trying to reconstruct my life, right? And so thank you for being that model, right? And so here we are having another conversation. You have a podcast as well, and been on that, the Quarterback Dad podcast, which is
Dadcast.
The Dadcast. Yeah. So you love this ability to really share what that means to you, but I don't want to put anything in your mouth right now. I know that we've had a little bit of a conversation about this, but what we're doing with these interviews is we're wanting to talk to people who are impact oriented. And what we think impact starts with is when an individual sees a hole in the universe, a way that they can contribute, a problem that they can solve, and then they actually act upon it. I think so many times in our world, we see something that's wrong, but we don't do anything about it. right? And so we are all about integration. We see a problem, let's go fix it. Let's go see what we can do about it. Otherwise, it's for somebody else to fix, and let's stop feeding energy to the problem, right? So I would love to hear from you, Casey. What is the hole that you see in the world, in the universe?
I have to get something completely random out of my head, because when I hear phrases, sometimes my mind goes to 1980s or 90s songs.
Okay.
So we're going to just bring some humor and authenticity to this conversation. When you said, when I see a problem, I immediately went to Vanilla Ice.
Yo, I'll solve it.
You all solve it. Check out the DJ involved. Okay, I can focus now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I spent over 20 years in corporate America. Seller, right guy, right team. I think the position of quarterback helped me do better in business than I ever thought I would do. And now, and what I love about that journey is that mindset of a football player: get back in the huddle and do it again. It's next play up. You get hurt, next man up, next woman up. And all those lessons along journey. And then when I left corporate to write a book called Win the Relationship, Not the Deal, started a podcast for fathers. Those were just 2 projects. And I didn't realize that they eventually would go like this. Oh. And then fast forward a year later, after that journey of creating content and just doing it out of inspiration, not for like a purpose, but just more like I was inspired by something, I wanted to share it. And then coaching found me, which I think I shared with you. I didn't mean to I want to be a coach. Like, people start asking me if I coach, and my first response was, yeah, my kids, like, I'll coach youth sports. Right. Wasn't thinking about business. And so through that journey, now the podcast, speaking, the book, working with sales teams, working with leaders, it's like this. And what I love about it, I did not realize that was going to happen. But to answer your question, I'm on a mission to solve 3 problems. But if I had to pick, and those 3 problems, I'll say all 3, but I'll eventually narrow down to 1. Okay. Lack of humility in the world, lack of vulnerability in the world, and a lack of curiosity in the world. I think curiosity is an absolute superpower.
I agree.
It is an absolute superpower. You look at all the greatest minds in the world, or people who've been successful. Walt Disney. Back to Voltaire in the 1700s, he said, I'm going to bring a woman in, because I don't think he meant to offend the woman, so we're going to help him. He said, a man or woman is not judged by his or her answers, but by his or her questions. Yeah. So in the 1700s, we're teaching curiosity, yet we still can't get it. We go to these meetings and I killed that meeting. Told them all about us. Read the script. What'd you learn about the client? Who? Oh, shoot, I didn't. I just told everything about myself. And so I see relationships. We get focused. We listen to persuade versus listen to learn. We don't ask follow-up questions, like, tell me more about that. Describe why that is. Explain how that could impact you. Tell them the negative consequences of making that decision. We don't create space for people to answer. We ask 2 or 3 questions in one. Heidi, Ryan, how's your weekend? What'd you do? How the kids? How the family? What'd you have for dinner? Whoa. It was like 5. Like, which one's most? So, I mean, joke, but like, curiosity is so lacking. And the dad joke coming. So I had this vision hit me, kind of like when Griswold saw his tree. That vision happened twice. Once when I thought of the title of my book, Win the Relationship, Not the Deal, I was like, that's it. Saw the tree, saw the glow. But the other one was when we have I just lost my train of thought. It's going to come to me. See, this is CTE brain, guys. There's too many college hits.
It's a real thing. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I just lost my train of thought. It's gonna come.
You saw 2 things. One was the book. You were talking about Griswold and the tree.
Yeah. What was right before that? Help me out here. We're gonna be out.
Let me hit rewind. Hold on. We'll go back. I wasn't listening. I don't know. What were you talking about?
I just literally lost my train of thought.
Well, you were talking about curiosity, and then you mentioned kind of having 2 visions, and one was the title for the book, Win the Relationship, Not the Deal.
It's going to come to me, team.
Well, one of the other things that we have noticed is it's really important to be able to show ourselves compassion and then be curious. This is actually what we teach. Curiosity is one of the C's that we teach. So I love that you're bringing this up. So in a moment like this right now, Casey, we can show compassion for ourselves for forgetting our train of thought, right? So we can just notice that awkwardness and let that go, and then open ourselves up into a place of curiosity, saying, okay, so what's next for me? How does this lead to growth? How can I contribute? Right?
Yeah. Well, again, it goes back to, so I believe what I do matters. I start every day with the word believe. I teach that word. I teach to my kids. I teach to myself. So if I messed up like I just did there, who cares?
Right.
Exactly.
It's not going to define me. But I think when we believe in what we do matters, we can stay curious and asking those additional questions. Oh, I remembered it. So here we go. I knew it'd come back to me. So the other one was when I asked one of my clients, I said, tell me the difference. Don't tell me what a custodian and a great relationship builder have in common. I said, visualize it. Like, what does a custodian have on his or her hip? I'll put you guys to test here. Keys. What do they have? Keys. You're right. And what do those keys do?
They unlock doors.
They unlock doors. And so think about if you're a custodian, but in relationship building, we got a key, and every one of those keys is a question that opens up a new door. It opens up a new talk track. It opens up a new way of thinking. It opens up a new, wow, I didn't know that about you. And when we learn, we all love to learn. I don't care if you tell yourself you don't, you're lying to yourself. I hate to call you out, people, but when we learn, we get that feeling of being uncomfortable, and then that you have to really lean into saying, maybe ask for help, comes in the vulnerability of it. And I love, as a coach, I love telling my clients that I have a coach. And sometimes the look on their face is like, wait, what? How do you have? I thought you're supposed to know everything. I'm like, no, I don't know everything. Far from it. I've read my book. I tell them 10 times through the editing process or through, just refresher. I learned something from myself.
Right. I love that.
Right. I love, long-winded answer. I love being curious. I love teaching curiosity, and I love helping people get uncomfortable in the game versus being comfortable on the sidelines.
I love it.
We are all leaders. If you're ready to stop waiting and start impacting your environment in a powerful way, we want to connect with you. Click the Book Now link in the show notes to book a call with a Heart First coach and discover what Heart First leadership can look like in your life and in your environment. Now back to the show.
Yeah. So one of our favorite questions is, like I was mentioned a minute ago when I was helping you kind of to regain your thought track there, was
I'm back. Helmet's on.
He's all on board. We come to the idea of personal development a lot through neuroscience, and curiosity is this incredible component that allows for the whole brain to kind of communicate, right? It allows for the prefrontal cortex to come online and to legitimately be able to open up to possibility. Okay. So when a curious mind, or a beginner's mind is what we would call it, is one that is kind of able to span the horizons, see and select different possibilities, and then legitimately decide what we're going to make a situation mean. Right. So whether we screw up on a podcast, or whether we mess up a deal out there in the sales world, or whether we have a moment where we maybe raise our voice to our kids, or whatever it is, there's something there that's for me. Fundamentally, that's what we ask ourselves, and that we teach, is to say, how is this for me? How does this lead to growth? How does this lead to healing? Right. And if we can do that, be willing to fall down, get back up, and ask ourselves, how is it for me? How does it lead to growth? That's what's going to sustain us on our trajectory of growth. Right. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. I love
You remember the name Tony Bennett, the basketball coach he was at Washington State, and then he was at Virginia. He's still at Virginia. So I'm going to paraphrase. He was the only, I think we're the only, I may be one or the only two, a 16 seed in the NCAA men's basketball tournament to lose to a 1 seed. Talk about embarrassing. Talk about and at the end he said, adversity is life's golden ticket. The next year they went back to the tournament. They won it. First team to ever lose from 16 to a 1, and then win it the next year. So I love that you said it's for me. Things don't happen to people. They happen for us. If I don't break my foot in 4 spots and not play football in my high school, we're not on this podcast together. I wouldn't have went to Central Washington. That was the only school that said, shoot, we'll give this guy a shot.
Right.
Probably could have played at a different level, but I didn't. I got hurt. And that was the only school that said, hey, we'll give you a chance.
Something I was thinking of asking you is, what are some things that have happened in your life that happened for you, not to you, that led you to kind of have this culmination of these different passions that now you're seeing, okay, these things are coming together in ways that, because I always say it's really hard to connect the dots, going forward, but you could always look back, and they say hindsight is 2020, right? You could see, oh yeah, that was the podcast that was leading me to this. That was leading me to this. So what are some things that happened for you that, like you said, that injury, is there anything else that comes to mind that happened for you along the way that has led you to where you are now?
Yeah, the injury was a big one. I mean, I think about, I was a part of a really, really large deal at my former employer, K-Force. And then like 3 months after it closed, it completely kind of unraveled. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn about ego, learn about asking for help. I had to learn about humility, which I already learned about, but it kind of reinforced it. It was like a humility body slam by Jim Snuka Fly Snuka, top ropes. I had to learn about, all those things taught me. And I think, again, being able to play quarterback in college, was very grateful for. Uncle Rico moment again, right there. Having the respect your teammates, earning the respect your teammates, not making it about me, making it about everybody else. Like those moments transcended all into business. And what I love telling, like those moments too, Heidi, helped me, I think, in the coaching space. Because if I as someone who's had success in his previous career, who cares? Mm-hmm. Like who cares? When we're 90 and comparing wheelchairs, then it'll care. But right now, it's like I have to go out and reimagine myself. I'm a new podcaster, gone that now for 4 years. I'm a new coach, been doing that for 3 years. If I just sit back and talk about how great Uncle Rico was back in the 1920s, well, it's like I can't really relate to people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think when I remember my CEO when I would get on stage and give a speech at the end of our awards trip, what always stood out was obviously the relationships we formed. But when he would say, "Damn, you did it again, and you're more humble this year than you were last year," like that drove me. Like it still to this day gives me goosebumps when I say it, because I don't know, Ryan, it's like, the weight room or football. You always wanted to work or be on a team with somebody that you knew you could count on, and you knew it wasn't about like their ego, and then they'd go out of their way to do anything for you.
Right. You knew they had your back, right? And one of the things I used to say when I was coaching collegiately was like, no one cares what you did yesterday, right? And in life, in the totality of life, we now work with a handful of athletes, right? And I teach a very specific mindset that is really releasing our attachment to certain outcomes, right? So we worry way less about whether or not we win or we lose, and way more about who we become in the process, right? So the same everything is for us mentality means that we lost the game good. We won the game good, right? Mm-hmm. It's all good, right? So how can we learn from it? How can we grow from it, right? And because reality is that, and I tell people this when I'm working with, when I really start to kind of get them paying attention, is like, no one's going to care how fast you were, how high you could jump, how well you threw the ball or caught the ball. When you turn 22, 25 years old, what's going to matter is your ability to connect. Your ability to take your eyes off yourself and place them on others. And I'll be the first to say that I wasn't as good at that when I was a player, or even when I was a college football coach. But yet the last decade of transformation has led me to understand the importance of it, because I can look back and say, oh, I very well could have been a better teammate or a better coach if I took my eyes off myself and placed them on others, and really got a chance to know somebody and understand the human experience in a way that gives them a better chance of succeeding, and which then lifts us all up, right?
Spot on, man. You're making me think of two things that come to mind. I'm not going to forget these two, promise. Diversity.
I can write them down real fast if you want.
Do it. Yeah, I'm always mid-draw pictures. Diversity. Mm-hmm. We played with teammates of all colors: Black, Hawaiian, Samoan. I wasn't curious to learn about them, their background, and when I was in my 20s. I was naive, and then I'm now a middle-aged white privileged guy. 2020 really hit me in the heart about like getting deeper. I mean, since then I've interviewed probably 4 or 5 of our teammates we play with: Kenny Russo, Brett Allen, Tony Bowie, Mike T. And I wanted to learn about your culture. So again, curiosity was less about me, but it was about letting someone else's story shine, learn about them. In the end, I'm learning. I'm hearing different perspectives.
Right.
The same thing as relates to like selling. My very first sales meeting ever at this company called Hall Kenyon before K-Force purchased us. It was like a venture capital type thing. This guy, I had to go to his house. The guy was in a wheelchair with like racing gloves on without the fingers.
Oh my gosh.
There's birds. flying around the guy's house. And I was like, what in the Sam's hell is going on here?
All right.
And we want to talk like focus, like it was like a defense I've never seen before. And I literally just, spitfired everything about that I read in this piece of paper. That's pretty much what our company did. And I thought it went great. I thought I killed it. I was like, God, that was awesome. That was so fun. And I got in the car with my boss. My boss is like, I kind of joked about this in the beginning. They're like, how'd you think it went? I'm like, I thought great. I felt so confident. Told them all about what we do. She goes, what'd you learn about him? It was like the biggest, nothing. And so fast forward at age 41, I'm 47 now, but at age 41, I went through, I was one of our leaders in our company and helped drive a sales transformation where we trained close to 800 salespeople on a methodology, a framework. And one of the mentors, he was my customer, but I definitely got mentorship from him. And his name is John Kaplan. And he said, one of the questions they taught was, so if I was meeting you or selling you something or trying to like learn more about there's a need, he would say, hey, I'm so excited to meet you today, Ryan and Heidi. But before we get started, describe what would be an ideal outcome for you in the time we have today. Like that question is as uncomfortable as to ask as it wasn't me, or describe what would be a success for you in the 45 minutes we have today. You get the answers to the test, right? And so we can prepare all day long about what we think we should say or what we want to say, but if it doesn't meet what the person you're meeting with is saying, we're wasting our time.
Right.
That's like we're using curiosity to drive today's conversation. When I do podcast interviews, I'll record and I'll look down and say, you guys ready to see the script? And I'll go, here it is.
Right.
Blank page.
That's
super prepared. I go, but just watch. I'm gonna use these. I got 2 of these against one of these. I'm gonna be listen intently. My goal is to have you say, God, great question. And I'm gonna shut up until you respond. And at the end of this hour, we're gonna have full 2 pages of notes. And you're gonna feel better about yourself, and I'm gonna get free therapy from it. And every time that's what happens. And I forget we're recording. I literally go into it's like, Will Ferrell and Old School. What? I blacked out. What happened?
That's flow state, man. That's being in the zone. And no different than competing. When you're doing it in connection, it can happen just the same. So I love everything that you're, about, and then that. I don't have to give you any more love in that world, but I would love to hear just a little bit more, like, how do you specifically feel? So you see this whole of humility, vulnerability, of curiosity, and so in what way are you actually engaging in the world that you feel like you're actually filling that hole? I know you've written a book, Win the Relationship, Not the Deal. And it's a fantastic book, especially if you're any sort of connection, any sort of human experience connection. I think it massively can be a great impact, but it's mainly directed towards sales, right? Because that was your ball game for 20 years, was the sales role. But what is it that you're doing? So you're coaching, and is it specifically for sales teams and corporations in sales? And that's what you're doing. And
I want to hear how all these things kind of have come together, because the podcast, I think was, correct me if I'm wrong, that's more of a passion project for you, right? As a dad.
Yeah.
To have these interviews and be present with people and have these great conversations. So I'm curious to hear, how has this all kind of come together? Because I totally see the through line in what you're talking about with the humility, the vulnerability, and the curiosity being key ingredients to any relationship, whether that's a relationship where you're selling someone something potentially, or just any friendship or otherwise, right? Being keys to that. So how did these things kind of converge, and how are you seeing them come together now as
I love this question.
Impact? No,
I love it. So when I wrote the book, Ryan and Heidi, it was for salespeople. What I'm doing now is not just for salespeople. I wrote the book. I was thinking, it's going to be good for a staffing and consulting company where I spent 20 years. I'm not doing work in the golf retail space with TaylorMade. I do work in insurance. I do work in real estate. I do work for leadership teams. The tagline of my book says 6 common sense strategies to succeed in life and business. I wrote life. I didn't think, but the 6 things I wrote about were being nice, start with positivity to any meeting or any conversation that you enter, set expectations, listen versus hearing, document what you learn from people, check your ego, be vulnerable, practice your craft, and then have patience for people, have patience for relationships. Things take time to develop. Now that's for any industry.
Mm-hmm.
And these are things I'm not perfect at, but these are things that I know when I'm at the top of my game, I'm doing those things really well. And these are things I will go back to as a refresher to like, okay, man, yep, hey, I'm off here, or maybe my ego got the best of me that one. I should go apologize to somebody, or maybe get a little curious, or man, I'm losing my patience with my kids. Hey, that's not fair. So all these things. So I continue to, I know you guys know Michael Singer's work, Surrender. I still continue to surrender to I don't have to have all the answers, but I know that these 6 things are really important, and they're going to create great outcomes for me, for my life, for my family, for my relationships, my friends. Now to the podcast, Heidi, what I love, and maybe to answer your question right too about what hole I'm filling. I did not realize that the podcast would help improve company cultures or drive more connection. And what I mean by that is if I interview a chief revenue officer or a CEO or an executive at a company, and I get them to talk about things they were not ready to talk about, and then we summarize it, we share it on LinkedIn, and then all of a sudden now I'm a staff accountant that works at ABC company, and I'm like, hey, Bob, or hey, I saw your interview with Casey, and my mom died of cancer too, and I grew up on a farm in Kentucky, and my grandpa was a World War II vet. I didn't know we had that in common.
Wow.
Immediate connection, immediate relationship. I'm booked right now through almost August. I have to like slow down, which is like a good problem to have. But what fills my tank more than anything is connecting people. And I teach this thing. It's called a boomerang mindset. The goal is if we throw a boomerang, well, we don't have them here, but we have good eye, mate, down in Australia. How's the accent?
That's pretty good. It's not bad.
But like we throw a boomerang, it comes back to us. So think about if we're serving others through the podcast, through the book, through our relationships, through coaching, through however we're serving people, the key is you don't keep score. Mm-hmm. So like for me, I get so much thrill, and I have like a personal goal. People that know me, who are connected to me, they know that this is not BS. I connect probably at least 2 people minimum on LinkedIn every day. And I'm never asking usually for their approval. I just do it. And I trust that they know that I'm doing it for the right reason. Like, Ryan, you got to meet Susie. Susie's this company. You guys, here's how I know you. Here's what I guys think you guys should meet. I'm going to get out of the way and let you guys do what you do. Mm-hmm. And I don't keep track like, hey, Ryan, I've actually introduced you to 13 people. I bought you a donut at Winchell's. You owe me $4.38.
What's in it for me? Yeah.
Right. And you got to trust it's always just do right by others. Power of the golden rule. It will always come back to you.
Yeah. So we have a boomerang, and I've thrown it in my yard multiple times, and it has never come back to me, which makes me think this rule that you teach, or this principle that you teach, I think a lot of times we are doing certain things and we're thinking, oh, that's going to come back to me. Right? It's this level of service that people sometimes operate from, where they serve to feel good, or they do something to like, I read in a book one time, if I'm in this certain vibration, and I do this certain thing that, then the thing's going to come back to me. We're throwing the boomerang incorrectly. Right. And if you don't throw it with the right angle, right, with the right intention and the right real purpose behind it, it just kind of goes out, and it soars way up. And you think, there it goes, it's going to come back to me, and it doesn't. It falls.
Or if we don't throw it right way, we quit and we blame others, and we say, God, this boomerang thing's a piece of, it doesn't work.
Right.
Or we use our
throwing it.
It's
That's what's happening.
Or then this is where power of vulnerability comes in. Hey, Ralph, Susie, I suck at this boomerang thing. I see you're really good at it. Can you teach me how to throw it?
Right.
You're allowing your own weaknesses to let someone else's strengths show. You listen, you follow up, you thank them. Hey, thanks so much for spending time. You didn't do that. But if we all kind of remember that beginner mindset, how we felt when we first started a job, how we first started, first kid in school, first person at recess, first person at the job, go out of our way to like make that person, when they get home, they're like, man, what a great first day. I met this lady named Heidi. She was so nice. Mm-hmm. That's sometimes kind of corny to think about it, but you can drive massive amounts of differentiation in your relationships by how you make people feel. I call it the Maya Angelou moment.
That's right. We have that hanging up in our house. Yeah.
Yeah. Love me some Maya, right? How do you make people feel? challenge for people. It's like, if you're just going through life worrying about you,
right,
you're missing out on a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
So you've been able to meet a lot of people through the podcast and through your coaching and what you're doing now. Have you seen like a missing link for people when it comes to like what we're talking about here is impact, right? Have you seen that people are sometimes kind of going about their life and not really realizing the impact that they're making, or not really having like a focused impact that they're trying to achieve?
Yeah. I use a phrase a lot that I just say, we have to slow down, like slow down so we go fast. You have to, you're trying to fix a plane at 30,000 feet, which is dangerous for the passengers. Let's land safely and then kind of readjust the engine. And then so we can take off faster, get there safer. Many people are just going through life and they just are, life's leading them versus them leading their own life.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think here's a perfect example I see a lot, like where I work with leaders, they start a meeting and hour-long meeting, they talk for 45 minutes of it and they don't create space for people to talk. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden they have a culture of fear. All of a sudden people are scared to talk. All of a sudden people are scared to bring their weaknesses, their challenges, because the leader hasn't created space. He or she thinks they're doing a great job because they're confidently leading the meeting. They're telling them everything about the vision of the company, but they're not using, back to the word curiosity. What can we do to help uncover these things? And so, I think just getting people, which is so fun and rewarding as a coach, is when people slow down, they don't see it. I see it because I'm not in their own mess. But once I get them to see the gap through asking the right question, and then you can see it almost like immediate unlock them. And then all of a sudden they're a new person. They show up engaged. Their follow-up note, I ask them to write. You can see their appreciation. Putting them outside their comfort zone to like start actively getting on LinkedIn and leaving comments on different things, or just, those are a couple examples that it's so rewarding, because like you guys, the things you're coaching on, I would assume you're not making this stuff up. You're coaching. I coach based on real failure or real success.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Personal experience for sure.
Yeah. I'm not going to say, hey, you should jump off bridge. Cement's, it'll land soft. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to say, like, here, if you're going to jump, make sure there's water below you. Mm-hmm. And here's why it's fun. Here's why I did it. But I don't know if that answered your question. I kind of went off on a tangent, but it was like,
it's all good. It's all pointing back to the same place. So what I want to try to do is derive like a very simple takeaway beyond the obvious one that we've heard here of like, hey, you have 2 ears and one mouth. I'm like, listen, be curious, right? But like some actionable things that somebody could really say, okay, I'm going to take that with me. I'm going to take that with me. And I'm going to apply that in my life. I'm going to make an adjustment. I'm going to make some sort of incremental shift. The first one that stood out to me was slow down, right? That was the first one that really stood out to me. And so if I want to develop this more humble, vulnerable, and curious approach to life, because the impact that has is more connection. And through more connection, I find more meaning in life. And now I'm experiencing more joy and fulfillment. And I'm assuming somewhere along that path, I'm probably going to be opened up to more opportunities, which means potentially, new experiences and more money and whatever, right? This snowball effect that starts out with something so incredibly simple. And a lot of times I think it's so simple that people go, yeah, I get it. I should listen more. Yeah, sure. Right. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the stuff that we teach is so simple, but not easy. Mm-hmm. Right. That if you don't really sit back and kind of go like, oh, how does that show up for me? How do I authentically then step out and act in a new and different way that's going to integrate that, where I'm going to rehearse and become that so I can see the fruits of my labor. Right. Because the thing that with the going back to the boomerang for a minute, like, I got to throw it enough times to figure it out.
Right.
If I try to throw a boomerang once or twice, like it's not going to come back to me. Right. And so,
all right, I'm gonna rewind the tape first. We're gonna watch some film here. So like you said you love the phrase slow down. That hit me. Okay. So I'm at home, I'm listening to us, I'm watching this. Well, Casey, I don't know how to slow down. Ryan and Heidi, what does that mean? Perfect. Let's talk about that. Let's go to a friend. Let's go to a boss. And let's use a framework that I got taught called TED, which is tell me, explain, describe. An amazing way to ask questions. Again, really, really simple, but hard to do because we ask a TED-based question and then we get sidetracked. And we start, because TED-based questions open up conversations back to the janitor, custodian example. Maybe we say, tell me, friend, or tell me, boss, tell me one or two ways that I'm going too fast in life. And tell me from your perspective, what are one or two ways I can slow down to be a better friend? Tell me one or two ways I can slow down to be a better employee. Tell me one or two ways I can slow down to be a better leader. And then shut up and listen. And then they're going to say something. And then you're going to say, wow, tell me more about that. And I would be willing to bet they're going to keep talking. And then you're going to shut up and you're going to say, wow, tell me how that might positively impact me and my family. And we're going to shut up. Tell me how that might impact our culture if I could change that way. All of a sudden now you're showing up curiosity in the TED framework. You're slowing down to get coaching for yourself, right? And now you're allowing someone else to show their gifts, their strengths, to be honest, because you've created space to take feedback. All feedback's good. It doesn't matter how you use it, right? I always say there's no such thing as bad feedback. Someone taught me that. I love that. All feedback's good. And I practice, you know who I practice TED-based questions on the most?
Your kids.
My kids.
Yeah.
Parents, how many times we say, hey, Riley, how's school? Good. Okay. What'd you do? Nothing.
What'd you learn? What'd you learn?
Nothing. School sucks. It's boring.
Yeah.
Our teachers are horrible. No, they aren't horrible, but they don't hire horrible people. Tell me one thing that could make school more fun today. No school? No, try again. Describe one thing about your favorite class that's fun. PE. Okay. Easy. Tell me why. All of a sudden we're talking. But it takes us as parents to slow down, to find connection, to find meaning, to find something to talk about. Or we just, because I can say, my son's my son's 17. He's almost 18.
Wow.
How the hell did that happen?
Right. Holy cow. Is he really?
And yeah. He'll be 8. I mean, it's 8. He turned 17 in April. So it's not just 18. I guess he just turned 17, but
yeah,
that seems like yesterday. So I am trying to find ways to slow down. I'm trying to find ways, whether it's rebounding for my daughter, whether it's, watching a cracking game with my son, slowing down, getting curious with them. Again, a common theme here with these TED questions. Watch what happens. If you make a commitment, you're going to hear people say, great question, a lot. You're going to hear people say, yeah, thanks for asking.
Mm.
But when we create the space, that's where relationships get really, really strong.
Would you say that is your biggest passion, is helping people to create relationships or valuable connections? That's kind of the through line of what I'm hearing with what you're talking about.
Yeah, I would say yes. I love that, Heidi. I love using my own experiences of failure and success that humbles me to humble other people that think they have all their stuff figured out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like specifically, I think about in the world of sales. Like I've brought into let's say a staffing company and their number one producer is doing X. Well, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I've already done 3 times that person. Now, if I tell them that, they're going to get defensive. But if I ask great questions and then all of a sudden that person asks me what I did, I'm like, I can say that. They're like, whoa, how'd you do that? I said, I'd love to share with you if you're interested in learning. So I met them where they are, waited till it comes. So getting people to have really negative sides themselves, which they probably are too egomaniac to admit. But when we do it in a way that allows them to let the guard down and then be a completely different person. And then the leaders of that company are saying, I don't know what you did. I don't know if it was illegal what you did, some kind of hidden hypnosis, but the dude is different. I'm like, I just showed up curious, asked a lot of questions. Because in coaching, I think people coach themselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're helping them get unstuck. We're asking the right questions and they're going to coach themselves. So I think that, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what fires me up.
Yeah. Creating space for people to actually connect to their own answers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Meet them where they are.
Mm-hmm. So you're on this mission and to create better connection and through curiosity, how do you stay connected to that? This is something that's popped up in our work, and I have a very specific way personally that I stay connected to what I believe I'm here to do, right? And the work that I'm here to do. I would be curious to hear, whether you go back to your 20-year career where you were, very successful in your sales role or in your current, phase of life and coaching and being a speaker and podcaster, and even just as the type of dad that you want to be. Like, is there some way that you really stay connected or continue to work on becoming the version of yourself that's able to execute all of this? It's all great, but I think a lot of times people have something like this in their heart that you're speaking of, a burning desire to make an impact. Then Wednesday shows up, and it's just kind of like, and the week fades off, and then Sunday night again, they're like, I'm gonna do it, and then they forget, right? And they drift.
Oh, is this gonna be a video podcast or audio?
Yeah, it's video and both.
Video. Okay, so see this, everybody?
Yeah. Is it a journal?
I have a daily journal every day.
Yeah.
And usually the very first phrase, God or universe, whatever people believe in, thanks for waking me up today. I have a chance to do something great today. Corny as that is, gets my mindset the right way. I start with gratitude every day.
Yeah.
I go outside. I'm not always consistent at this, but I'm always consistent when I'm feeling anxious. I do something called Ha. I got taught this it's like a 4-minute meditation. First minute I breathe. I'm doing this out loud by myself. Because if I was doing it inside talking to myself, people would think I have a screw loose. So I go outside, just breathe for a minute, set my phone. I'm just walking around my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Timer goes off. Second minute, it's I have statements. I'm saying these things out loud. These are physical, emotional, or opportunistic. I have an opportunity to crush this meeting today. I have an opportunity to be a present dad. I have an opportunity to be a great husband. I have an opportunity to be super curious in every meeting I go on. I'm speaking truth into what's going to happen that day. Third minute is I am statements. I am patient. I'm going to attack my gaps. If I'm not feeling as patient, I'm going to say the opposite. I am creative. I'm detail oriented. I'm whatever I'm going to say. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then the last minute is I will. I don't know why it works, but when I get done to that 4 minutes, it's like, let's go. Like I am so jacked up. I'm wired. I'm focused. I'm ready to compete. It's like right when you get done with football and we were captains and you shake hands with our team and it's like ready for kickoff. You sprint back like let's F and go.
Right.
That feeling of I get that when I come outside back here. So I think those are ways I stay connected, and then just staying, focusing so much on the word humility keeps me focused on it. And then I also created one last thing I'd say is I created 5 new swear words, like really, really bad ones. Like these are ones you do not say in church or school or a library are you guys ready for these ones? I'm ready. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Need to, should to, want to, have to, and can't. Right. Yeah. Those are worse than a good old MFer. Right. Right. Yeah. Way worse. Yeah. Power of the spoken word is what I'm hearing from you. Yeah. Yeah. I don't need to do anything. Yeah. I should lose weight. Why? Right. And I always curiosity questioning it. Well, why would I have to lose weight? Why should I? Yeah, just embrace my belly today. It's a little jiggly. It feels good. It feels good. No, instead I will. So I always write down, I will, like my vision board, goal board behind you guys can't see it. It says, I will, and fill in the blank. Yeah. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it. Right. There's a level of deciding. There's a level of decision. They're just removing indecision of who you're going to be that day. You know, I give credit to this coach, Marty Osborne, Cameron High School, who's now, he's one of my massive mentors in my life. I remember when I was 16 and he said, hey, you got a chance to be our starting quarterback. I'm like, you got the right Casey? I thought there's this kid that my age, he was bigger, faster, stronger. Yeah, but something about you, we believe in you. And we think you're a better leader than him. But here's what you got to do. You got to don't play baseball and basketball, and you got to get in the weight room. But I think if you do X these things, like here's your bench, here's your squat, you're clean, you're 40. Here's how many times you got to throw per week. I was like, I'm in. Someone believed confidence in me, and now it made me further believe in myself. Leaders, there we go. If you want more of your employees, believe in them. And that right then I was like, okay, I had to do all these things. It taught me power of, being visionary, visualization. Yeah. Back to Uncle Ricamon. Think about when we were in college, Tuesday, I knew the first play of the game on Tuesday. Right. Every week. And so for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, in my mind, I already knew what was going to happen. Yeah. And a high percentage of the time, it went exactly as I knew it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff's fun. Talk about.
Go ahead.
I have a twist on something that you said that I want to ask you.
Yeah.
So you said one of the most powerful things that you can ask someone at the beginning of an interview or coaching session or even any discussion is like, what would be a win for you? Like in this scenario, what would be the end result that you would go, yeah, that's it.
I did it.
So I want to know from you, Casey, in making the impact that you're here to make and filling the holes that you see, what would be a win for you in doing that? Like, how do you know that you're successful at doing that?
How do I measure like success of what I'm doing?
Yep. Yeah. Like how, or maybe even further down the line, let's say like 20 years from now, how do you know that this has been a win? What you're doing right now, what does the end result look like in your mind?
What do you see in the world? What's different?
Well, the big stretch goal when I'm 92, win the relationship, not the deal, is going to be right next to Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. They're going to compare those books. Man, this was so simple. Like that's the big stretch goal. Might be out there, but why not? Someone's going to do it. Why not me?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? I love it.
My kids are going to be saying, man, your grandpa was a good dude. Wherever we went, we used to make fun of him because he knew everybody. He knew somebody. We always were late coming home because there was always one more person you wanted to say hi to. I think when I teach something called holistic differentiation, it's like, how do you make, again, not what I said. It's like more Maya Angelou thing is how do you make people feel? So knowing that every time I interact with somebody, am I on their mind 2 hours from now? That's like my personal goal. Like how could I make sure I'm on their mind? Well, it's back to the questions I ask.
I love that. And so I call this modeling. We can actually develop a model in our mind and all the way down to the finest detail of like, what are people saying to me because of the impact that I'm making? Like, after going through your program, I feel like I have a deeper and closer relationship to God or whatever it is, like being very clear about because somebody has gone through and been in connection with what we're doing, like what is the environmental feedback that you're getting, right? Even the point where, like, I love what you're saying. What are people saying about you when you're not there? You're now gone. And what are they saying about grandpa? Right? He was so this, that, or the other. Like these are models that we can create in our mind that actually pull us to that experience. Right?
And you can practice that, believe it or not. You can practice what you just said. And so I teach this also to sales teams, because most salespeople, I'm going to generalize and call people out. Sorry, salespeople. Oh my God, my client loves me. Oh, she thinks I'm great. Yeah, I'm his first call. She always loves. No, you aren't. How do you know? We don't know unless we ask, right? We don't know. How do we know? So what you just talked about is what are they saying when we're not there? So I got taught this thing that I now teach. It's called having a champion. Someone who has influence, someone who has a vested interest in my success to make them successful. And then most importantly, they're selling on my behalf when I'm not there. So let's say, for example, I'm selling a software solution and it's going to be $20 million. And this is the most that they've ever spent on software. And we know it's going to solve all these problems. And we think they're going to sign off. But what happens if the chief financial officer sees this invoice come through, the statement of work, and they're like, whoa, 20 grand? I mean, 20 million? No.
Right.
The company sucks. There's no way we're doing that. Like, are we training our champion to sell on our behalf when we're not there? What are they going to say? So it's like, we're not slowing, again, back to slowing down, slow down to effectively measure where's your relationship at? How well have you done getting curious? How well have you done leading the person along a journey to they understand what you do? Can they talk about what you do when you're not there? The only way we know is that we have to ask, which takes, I think, back to vulnerability, takes humility to like, I hope I know.
Yeah.
There's been times I've done this with my previous at Kforce. I remember when I went down to an unnamed client with one of my unnamed reps. This guy was so coachable, and he didn't want me to go do this, but we did it. And fast forward the story, we went and tested this guy who we thought was our champion. And I said his name. I said, "What are you going to say when the head of procurement says we can't do this deal with Kforce because that's not what they do?" I go, "Tell me what you're going to say." And he looks at me. He looks down. He's like, "I don't know, Casey. What do you think I should tell him?" And I'm like, right then I knew he wasn't my champion, which is okay. Now, the sales rep who I was with, I could smell the burning, you know what, from just pure nervousness and number 3 in his shorts because he just freaked out because he knew he had to now own it, that he didn't know what he was talking about, which is okay. Right. Own your mess.
Right.
But again, that lack of that humility, that vulnerability of like saying we don't have to know everything, but then asking questions to get to another outcome, and you're helping someone grow. And then you're actually going to save yourself some time by not assuming or thinking that you have all the answers when really we don't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. You're a wise man, and I appreciate your time here and the energy. And I'm going to have to go back and listen to this and take notes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I tell you what, for us to be able to take this same philosophy and mindset, and I've read your book, but I'm going to read it again because I clearly have work to do in this realm. And I know that it's going to make me not only a better father, a better business owner, a better coach, right? But my real goal is to be able to then bring this work of what you're talking about here, of curiosity, of being humble, of vulnerability, to my team of coaches too, right? That we are able to make the largest impact possible. So this has been a wonderful start to interviewing impact-oriented people, and I'm just grateful for your time to joining us here today, Casey. So thank you.
Well, I'm grateful for you both. I think what you guys are doing is fantastic. And I love that a husband and wife, you get not only get you're married, but then you get to impact the world together, which I think is what a great model for your kids to see. And I love that this all started back in 1996. And I remember, Heidi, when I first met you, I was like, oh my God, you know so much more about marketing than I do. And I feel really dumb. So like that's like your superpower. I could like lean in on you and probably get coached a lot.
Yeah, it's an ever-changing world. Well, thank you, Casey, so much.
And I'd like to know from you, Casey, people who are listening to the podcast or watching the replay, where they can find you. Tell us that, where to find your podcast and other things that you're doing so they can connect with you.
Thank you for asking. Yeah, the best way is just go to my website, which is caseyjacox.com. It's can link to the book, speaking. There's some speaking examples. There's some testimonials from customers who have heard me speak or been coached by me. My book is on Amazon. It's on Audible, Kindle, or paperback. And I am very active on LinkedIn. So that's a great way to connect with me. I'm on Instagram as well, not as active. I'm showing my age, middle-aged 47-year-old dude. I'm not on TikToky. Maybe I need to be or should be. I just swore.
No, don't, please.
But yeah, I encourage people to reach out. I love connecting with people. I love learning about new people. And if you send me a note, I'll make sure I get back to you for sure.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'll add those links in the show notes as well. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure, and can't wait. But next time I'm over that way, we'll have breakfast again.
We have to pick a new spot because that place is now a pizza place with money. It's called Cascadia Pizza. Shout out to them.
Maybe let's do lunch then. Well, thank you, Casey, again, and go Cats.
Thank you for listening. Remember, leaders go first. Alignment matters, and the environment that you create is the legacy you'll leave. We'll see you on the next episode.